Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so good evening again, everyone. My name is Temi, and I am a certified professional Scrum Master. And I will be going through the Agile Team Charter today. And I just want to let you know that this should be a session where you should ask as much questions as you can. Please feel free. It's a safe space. I usually like to encourage questions because it doesn't just help you, it helps me as well to be better. So please feel free to stop me at any point. Feel free to take me back. Feel free to ask questions. And I'll be really glad to assist us to answer as much as I can. So today we'll be talking about the Agile Team Charter. We'll be going through like a general introduction, like the importance of the team charter, some component element, how you create it. Then I'll walk you through some examples and what you should do after creating the team charter. So to begin with, the Agile Team Charter is like a document, like a guiding document that outlines the missions, the goals, the values, the operation, and the operational scope of an agile team. And it's the document that outlines the ways of working of the team. It outlines the team's agreement, it outlines the team's mission, the team's goals, and their processes. And according to Indeed.com, the Agile Team Charter is like an introductory document that aligns an Agile team's mission, vision, communication process, ways of working, their team's agreement, and their success criteria, and so on. So the Team Charter basically helps to standardize how a team should work so that the team can effectively manage costs. So this document prepares the team for success by helping them to eliminate conflicts and also enhance collaboration. And I would like to say that this document, like this team charter, is an adjustable document. It's usually not the final, like because it's a team charter, it means, and because we created it from the beginning, at the beginning of our project, it means that's the final state. No, the Agile Team Charter is not the final state. As much as learned about your project and about your team, it can be adjustable, and it also serves as a guide for the team. So the team charter helps to keep the team on track, and it also eliminates conflict and confusion. Like it helps to eliminate conflict and also helps to eliminate confusion, and it creates like a universal understanding for the team and how the team should work. So very quickly, I would like to touch on this Topman's model of teams development, because usually when a team come together, just like you all have come together for the first time, you have a common goal that you like to achieve. There's usually some sort of friction amongst you guys. I think it's kind of like evident in the daily stand-up that you did. Like people are not free with themselves at first, and there's some sort of friction amongst everybody. So the difference between a team that will be productive and a chaotic or an ineffective team is how that team can move past that friction on time. So when we talk about friction, I am saying that misalignment of goals. And when this misalignment happens, of course, we should be expecting conflict. So usually how a team, like the difference between a team that will be productive and a team that will be chaotic, is how they can get past all these frictions on time. So the friction occurs most times at the first stage of this team development. So let's look at this Stockman's model of team development very quickly. So we have different stages of this team development, which are the forming stage, the storming stage, the norming, the performing, and the adjourning. So this friction that I'm talking about is usually occurs at this forming stage of team development, which I believe is where we are right now in our team. So at this forming stage, the team are usually still formal with each other. You see them, they're not like, you're still like being very formal with yourself. You treat yourself as strangers. You kind of like ask a lot of questions. And in this stage, you get acquainted with yourselves, and this is where you should establish some ground rules and set clear expectations for the team. Then there's the storming stage where members of the team you start communicating your feelings more, but you do not understand the concept of a team yet. So usually conflicts may arise a lot at this stage, and the team may start working in silos. That means they'll start working on their own or working in their own bubble, and they could also be hostile to themselves. So as Scrum Masters, like you have to, the Scrum Masters here have to make them understand the importance of working as a team, and they also kind of use some conflict resolution techniques a lot in this storming stage. And then the numbing stage is when the team start to feel like a team, really. They tend to reconcile, their anxiety is lowered, and every team start to become more supportive of each other. And then they tend to accept the viewpoint of one another more in this stage. And then we have the performing stage where the team start to demonstrate a very healthy system. You can see that the team is becoming very healthy, and usually they become very self-organizing and self-managing at this point. They are able to have open communication. They usually trust each other properly. They celebrate every win as a team, and they put little or no importance in hierarchy. You will notice that there's like really good team bonding amongst them in this stage. And the adjourning stage, when the team recognizes every member's achievement or contribution towards the team. Together, they come to like access their wins, they come to look at their progresses together as a team. And sometimes changes may actually occur in this place. So, in a nutshell, really, the friction that I was talking about, usually occurs in the numbing and the storming stage of a team development. So when you have a team charter and when you understand the team charter and how to use this team charter, you tend to eliminate this friction in these first two stages, that's the forming and the storming stage. And then you also promote synergy within your team. And when I say synergy, I mean that an interaction amongst a group of people to create like a combined effort rather than working alone. So a team charter would really help in this forming and storming stage, especially at the stage that you are in at the moment. So let's look at the importance of creating a team charter. The project, like the team charter, helps to protect the team from upper management in the sense that it ensures that the vision of the project is not controlled by the management, especially if it is an agile process. So in this case, the management would feel less likely to force the hands of the team because the team can always be like, okay, no, we will not stop having daily stand-up because it is something that we've agreed on and it has really helped the team. Or they could say sprint planning is quite important, we cannot do it. Or we have a sprint and we have agreed on a number of things that on the kind of number of weeks our sprint should be. So because you want us to develop some new features, we should extend our sprint to 3 weeks. No, we would not do that because so this team charter really helps you to protect your team from upper management and maybe some of the decisions they would like you to make. And then it also helps to keep the budget in line and helps to keep the project scope. So it prevents unauthorized work from being added to the project, like I explained earlier. And it will also prevent additional cost. It helps to reduce confusion amongst the team because they know what time is what meeting, they know what who needs to do what, they know the roles and responsibilities of everyone, they understand the mission of the team, their vision or the vision of the project, the mission of the project, like everything is clear to everyone. And then it also aims the team towards success as well. And they are like Then the alignment basically talks about, basically works with the values, the principles, the in-house rules, and then the context decides the boundaries of the team. It involves like escalation pattern. When we have conflict, what should we do? How should we communicate with ourselves? Should we use Teams or Zoom? Like, okay, what are our roles and responsibilities? The BAs do this, the Scrum Master should be responsible for this, and knowledge transfers and all those things. So these are like the three major concepts and components of the Agile Team Charter. So in terms of the elements, of course, the mission, vision, the project objective, definition of ready and done, skill set, like I explained earlier. And then let's look at each of these elements one after the other. The mission and the vision statement. So the vision statement is like a description of the future state of the solution that you want to develop. Like you are describing the future state of the project that you want to develop. It's just like a brief description of that. And it gives a reflection of the customers and the stakeholders' needs and the capability to meet these needs. So let us note that this vision statement should be achievable, and it should also be something that should be aspirational, and it should provide like an overview and a purpose of the solution that we want to develop. So this vision statement basically answers questions like, what is the product? Like, who is the product for? That is like the product is primarily for which market, for what market? Like, why does this market need the product? How will it benefit the market? And questions like, how is it different from our competitors? So all these questions will help to guide your team towards creating the right vision statement for your project. So while writing your vision statements, always put in mind that it must be attainable and it must have direction. Like, it should act like a direction for your team, so they are really clear about why this project should be made. So the vision statement should also be customer focused, and it should be really and easily understood. The mission statement, in on the other hand, should be concise. Okay, so I was explaining the definition of done, and I was saying that it is a checklist or a criteria that you have to set before a product backlog item is considered complete and before it is ready to be delivered to the customer. And an example of definition of done is acceptance criteria, and acceptance criteria test must be fulfilled and has been fulfilled. Developers have developed the features, unit testing has been done, it has been integrated with other improvements, and it is working. Products have been tested, including regression testing, and there's no showstopper bugs, and features are shippable and they can be demonstrated to the customer. So the definition of done is also a very, very important criteria that must be set for your team, because you do not want to ship off a feature to your consumer that does not work. It will not really look good on your team. So it is really important that you set these two definition of ready and definition of done at the early stage of your project at the early stage of your project. And then we also have frameworks. So I was saying that when you want to decide on the type of framework that you want to use as a team, you have to look at the objectives of your project. So is it a project that you can deliver per sprint, whereby you can deliver every 2 weeks? Maybe the stakeholder wants you to develop a project whereby, or a website whereby customers can make bookings for a particular service, and they want you to include payment gateways, and you can like, okay, we can deliver this in maybe 4 to 6 months. Then you tell them, okay, every 2 months we will have this and this and this ready for you. So, and requirements can, as much is learned about the project, you can like add more requirement and refine your requirements as well. That kind of project, you can use Scrum. And there are some projects whereby it's not like you're not building a website and requirements are coming in every time and continuously. It is emergent. And for example, maybe IT service desk. So this kind of project, you have to use Canva. Example, project whereby your customer your your users could just call you and say, I need you to help me fix this. Like they bring requirement for you every time. You definitely cannot tell them, oh, we are running sprints. We have to wait for 2 weeks where we have to plan it into our backlog. And then after 2 weeks, you should be able to log into your work. Of course, you can't do that. So for that kind of project, you have to use Kanban because requirements come in every day and every time. You can just maybe have like a mini Kanban planning, or maybe just still have daily stand up every day to just look at what you've been working on over the past couple of days. Or if it is a project whereby it is really large and you have to use the scale agile framework and one PI planning and distribute it to different teams. For that kind of project, you have to use the scaled agile framework. So you have to come together as a team to decide on the on what framework is best for your project, and then you decide on which of the framework you want to use. So I was saying that if it is a safe agile, if we are going to be using the scaled agile framework, it's probably because you are actually running like a project that is very, very large and you have to run a PI planning. So that kind of project, you have to use the scaled agile framework. And you have to come together to decide the type of framework you want to use for your project, because then that would help you to define the type of iteration board you want to use. Is it Scrum, is it Kanban, or is it Safe? If it is Scrum, Kanban, or Safe, it will help you to decide the type of board that you should use for your project. So the iteration board helps you to define the type what your iteration board should look like, and the board and how your board should be used, what it means. Because this board, you usually use it during your daily stand-up to monitor and discuss the team's progress. So the board specification may actually vary based on the framework, like I was explaining earlier. If you are using a Kanban framework whereby your work is emergent and it comes almost regularly, you can just have a simple to do in progress and done. If you are using sprints, you can use to do in BA, ready for BA, and in ready for QAs, UAT testing, and done. You can define it like that. So you have to like come together to define the type of board that you want to use for your project. Decide on the number of columns that your board should have and what this column should be. You can also decide on swim lanes, like okay, maybe each epic that we are working on should have their own separate swim lanes, so we understand what we are doing, to have more visualization of what we are doing. You can say, okay, we want to set a WIP limit for each column. That's a work in progress limit, that we don't want to have more than 5 tickets or 5 product backlog items on this column at a time. So you come together to define and to define the type of iteration board that you want. And then we also have key stakeholders. So key stakeholders, your team should identify every individuals that would be impacted by your project. So key stakeholders are individuals that are impacted directly or indirectly by your project. So according to the Scrum Groceries, a stakeholder is a person that are external to the Scrum team with a specific interest in your project and they have knowledge of your project. So the stakeholders are actually quite important for you to identify. You also need to identify the mode and method you want to speak with them. You have to also identify how important each of those stakeholders are. And you can also develop like a racing metrics for them. Like these are the people that we should keep informed. Like these are the people that we should always keep informed about every step of the project. These are the people that, okay, they could just help us to make some decisions. Not we don't have to talk to them every time. So you kind of like you have to now also define how you want to talk to them. Do we should we include these people in our review every time, or these people we could just send them a general newsletter every month. So you have to like define the kind of way and manner that you have to communicate with your stakeholders. So the first step is to identify them, to know who they are, then determine the level of importance each of these people are, and then identify the mode of communication of the way and manner you want to communicate with these key users, so that you don't piss off the wrong people and you don't or under communicate with them, because they're quite important to your project and they are your project sponsors. So you have to keep them informed as as much as they should be informed. So when you want to create your team charter, you have to kind of like hold a meeting really to establish this team charter. So by holding an offsite meeting, you can also hold a virtual meeting for this. If you work virtually, you can always hold a virtual if you are working virtually, you can always create a virtual meeting. And if you are working in person, you can always like bring your team together at a particular point to create this charter. But the most important thing is that every member of your team must be involved in this team charter, in this creation of this team charter, I mean. And so usually the team can set a time and head to a place of the office and spend some time to do this. And one important thing to note is that before creating your team charter, it will be nice, it's a good practice to actually have a bonding session so that everybody feels safe and feel comfortable. You can have like an icebreaker, or maybe if you are able to, you can all go for have a coffee, or you can just include in like just have some non-work activity together, so that everybody feels comfortable and everybody feels free to put in their ideas and talk. They can also talk freely while creating this team charter. And then after that, you can then create and construct your team charter. So this non-work activity, I always like try to promote it because it's a really good practice and it is quite important because it would help to develop a fun and memorable way of writing the team charter as well. So even if you can't have a retreat or go out, it is just quite important to create a large block of time for your team to work together and create their team charter. You can have energizers, ice-breaking moments, team bonding activity. It's quite a good practice. So put in mind that questions may arise amongst your team. And if you're a scrum master, you should also make sure that you walk your members through all every question that they may have regarding the creation of this team charter and regarding the whole process. And remember that as a scrum master, you are not a solution provider. You have to you have to ensure that everybody listens to everybody's suggestions, because everybody's suggestion is important. So walk them through creating the team charter. The team should always like agree to to come together and to also create this team charter as a team, because it's quite important that everybody has a sign off and everybody's idea are put together in creating this. So these are some examples of the team charter. This is one team charter I got off the internet, and it helps you to have a more understanding of how you should write it. And this is one very simple team charter that one of my teams in the past in Blue Sky as well created. And I also have an example, a more detailed example of a team charter that one of my teams in Blue Sky as well had created when they were about to start a project. Like I said, you can create this team charter on a whiteboard or on whiteboard softwares like Miro. Like this is a Miro board or Mural or even Microsoft Teams whiteboard. So what they had done is that they started by defining the mission of their team. And one thing they did was to have a recognition column for the team, just like a mini icebreaker, like let's recognize ourselves and let's give kudos. And then they started developing the team charter. They created their mission. They stated who is what, who is in the team and the responsibilities of the team. They also agreed on the values of the team, like let's respect everyone's opinion, let's celebrate and applaud every team member, let's respect ourselves, let's avoid pointing fingers, let's be open to change. These are just like, and it's not just one person coming to write it. So it's not like one person is saying, okay, put this or I'm putting that. Everybody, all hands were on deck. Everybody logged into this Miro board and then they imputed everything. You can see that there are different colors and different shapes. So everybody came together to write this. And then the same thing with the roles and responsibilities as well. Everybody came together to do this activity. You can see that there are also different colors of sticky notes on the board as well. So it was really a good practice. And then they also defined their scrum ceremonies, when they should have the scrum ceremonies, what should happen when they have conflict. They decided on the definition of ready and the definition of done as well. So it is a good practice for everybody's hands to be on deck while creating this team charter. So feel free to add as much as you want on your team charter. You can even add like estimation processes. How should we estimate? What technique should we use for our estimation? So, but the most important thing is that everybody must come together to agree on this. So when you create this team charter, what is next? Because you have to make sure that everyone agrees on this document that has been created. You should ask yourself questions like, is everybody agreeing to this? Like, is this what we want to do? Is this how we want to work? So just make sure that everyone agrees to this by symbolizing their commitment. And then you should also use the team charter to keep the team aligned and on track. So if you feel that they are deviating from what has been agreed on, you can use the team charter to remind them of what was initially agreed on as a team, or what the team has agreed to commit to. For example, there was this, I always like to give this example most times when I talk about team charter. There was this one time in one of my team at work in my organization whereby when we wanted to start the project, we agreed to not, because it's a Kanban team, and they agreed to not do daily stand-up every time, just Tuesdays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So Wednesdays and Thursday, they have agreed that they will be writing their daily stand-up on a loop in Microsoft Teams. They will just write it down. And the first few months, it was good. Everybody kept to that commitment. And after a few months, they stopped writing in the daily loop. Although they still attend the daily stand-up Monday, Tuesday, and Fridays. But then the daily loops on Wednesdays and Thursdays, nobody writes it anymore. So in that case, you have noticed the problem. You can always go to them in your retrospective and remind them, the daily loop is not working for us anymore. Let's try to keep let's try to update the daily loop. As scrum masters or as a team, you can always like remind them that this is what you've agreed on, but then you're not doing this anymore. So this type of deviations are sometimes inevitable as a team. It's also the same example I gave about one of your team members could start working in silos. You can just always go back to remind them that we agreed as a team to not work in silos, to work as a team. So please try to not do it. And then you can always like it also helps to resolve conflict on time. So if the person that is working in silos maybe because of one thing or the other, you're able to identify it as well. So the team could deviate somehow from what was agreed on, and they're not doing it. So especially for teams that are not so much matured. So the team charter would actually help them to trace back their steps and could also help them to think back that okay, this is what we've agreed. And like I said, you have to revisit the team charter if need. So when the daily loop was not working, we just thought about okay, the daily loop is not working for us anymore. Let's bring back the daily stand up. So we have daily stand up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays. So it's not a final document because you created it at the beginning of your project does not mean you cannot go back. In short, there are times whereby when I was starting a project in my organization, we agreed on Kanban because it's easier and our project is dynamic. And then we realized that we are not able to plan. There were a lot of white noises. Anybody could just come at any time and just put a ticket in our board and they expect us to do it. And it's making us deviate. There were just too many white noises. So because you agreed on Kanban before does not mean you cannot look back at your team and feel like, oh, Kanban does not work for us. Let's start using Scrum. So it's not a final document. You can say that okay, we do refinement. We've agreed to just to do backlog refinement once every sprint. Okay, I don't think once every sprint work for our team anymore, guys. Let's change it. And then you can change it to like 2 to 3 times every sprint. So it's not a final document. As much is learned about your team and about your project, you can always come back, revisit it in your retrospective or within your team, and then you create it, you make changes as it is needed. And following this, the team charter just helps to answer questions. It helps you to reflect on the team, on your ways of working and its processes. Answers questions like, are we some objectives? Are we still doing what are we still working towards achieving these objectives? As a Scrum Master, am I performing my roles and responsibilities like I should, like I said that I was going to when we were creating the team charter? Like, is our work process effective? Our product backlog items, are they actually meeting the definition of ready and done that we agreed on? Are we communicating like we should? So that it helps you to reflect most times, and it's something like I said, you can revisit it, and it helps you to reflect on the team and also on the process as well. And again, you can document the Agile Team Charter on Confluence. You can use Miro. You can extract it from Miro and document it on Confluence. You can extract it from Miro and document it on Azure DevOps. You can even create it on Azure DevOps. You can document it on your teams, on Mural. Just document it and document it in such a way that it is easily accessible to everybody, that everyone can easily go and look at it and reflect on it as well. And then, like I was mentioning, you can always document it on your wiki page. And I know that we are going to be using Azure DevOps for our project during this internship. And I would like to actually show you how to use the wiki page. Okay. So once you are done creating your wiki page, it will be nice for you to come, once you're done creating your team charter, it will be nice for you to come to your wiki page and document it in your wiki page. So once you are on your project overview, for example, you can come through to your wiki down here. When you're at your overview, you see this wiki icon, and then you can create your project wiki page. And you can have maybe, for example, if your team is called, I don't know, maybe Team Love, you can just have like Team Love and you can save. So when you save, it comes through like this as a home page. Then you can add so many pages and so many sub pages under this as well. And you can maybe give like a brief explanation of what your team is, like saying Team Love is all about dash 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 dash. And when you save, you can always close and then you will see what it says. And then you can create repositories. You don't only have to document team charter on your wiki page. You can also document QA repositories, BS repositories, Scrum Master's artifacts. You can document a lot of things on your wiki page. You can add a sub page maybe for team charter. Slash, okay, team charter, for example. And then you can also add documents, add attachments from here. And then you can also make a table like this. For example, maybe you want to say that you have daily Scrum and then you have refinements and retros and review. You can definitely like add as much columns as you want. This is just an example. So permit, maybe it's not perfect. And you can say Mondays, and then you can say maybe daily. It depends. And you can always save and then it will be published as well. You can also have a list, maybe names and maybe responsibilities. I'm just writing everything that comes to mind. Roles, and then you can make it anyhow you want it to be, and then it gets saved as this. You can, so this is how it comes, it shows up like that. You can also add a lot of pages as much as you want, maybe Scrum Masters report, or maybe Scrum artifacts. And as much as you want. So this is just me trying to like explain to you how the wiki works. It's quite very user friendly and it's really easy to navigate. And it is a really nice way to document your it is a really nice way to document your processes in your team. So I would really advise that you make use of this wiki page and you get your hands dirty on this wiki page as much as you can. And conclusively, regarding our team charter, going back, the Agile team charter really helps the team to aim towards success. It brings the team together. They're able to share their views regarding the team's purpose, their alignment, and context. And it also helps it helps us to revisit and reflect and adjust our ways if we need to. So the outcome of an adult chattering discussion or a workshop, again, is not a final document because it will always be in a draft state, and you must always revisit it on a regular basis as a team. So whenever the project or team changes, or when you learn something new about your team, always make sure that you come to your team charter and then you revisit it. I don't know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for your time, and I sincerely apologize for my network misbehaving. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Tammy. Thank you for your time tonight. Any questions from anyone? We see you. We see you. I saw someone clapping earlier. Any questions from anyone, please? I'll do 10 seconds rule. Any questions?
I think someone asked a question on the chat.
Okay, thank you. Hold on.
Recording in progress.
Okay, just a moment. So in the chat, please, I want to know the difference between team charter and project charter. All right, Tammy, shoot.
Okay. So, like I said, the team charter is for your team to understand how they want to work together. It defines, again, it defines the purpose, the goals, how they want to work, the responsibilities and the accountability of the team. And then the project charter defines the project objectives, like establishes the budget, the timelines, the risk of the project, like an high level overview and the project approaches and methodologies. The project charter focuses on the project, and the team charter is about the team itself. The project charter is about the project that the team is working on or the team will work on. But the team charter is about how the team want to work together, how the team want to work. I don't know if I explained that to your understanding.
All right, thank you. So just like you said, that's it. It's very direct. So team charter is more like your ways of working within the team. So, but your project charter is more on the project side. And guess what? Most likely the project charter, it won't be the team members even creating that. It will be the like the PM and the guys that are bringing in the project that will be getting all those project charter already. Usually not the team, yeah. So thanks for that. Any other person with any question? I know Tammy did a fantastic job. So I was just going to say, I assume Tammy did a fantastic job. And it's very clear. That's why you don't have questions. But I'm happy for you to watch the video and come back and revert. And just so you know, there will also be another session, where you have your workshop this time around. So she can show you. Or Tammy, are you going to speak about the workshop ahead? Do you want them to do something before the workshop or something? They can't even do the workshop. Oh, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Tammy. I was going to say they can't do the workshop immediately.
Yeah, so that was what I was going to say, like, it depends on when the workshop is slated for, like the timing. Is it like in 2 weeks or is it soon?
We'll make it like in 2 weeks' time when they are all in their projects and all. So they are really working for their team, not just, outside of their team. So that's why I said it won't be very fast, so it won't be almost immediate. But do you have anything for them to get ready for, or on that day you tell them all the things to do?
Yeah, so it would be really nice for the team to have decided to have come together to create that team charter. Like, it's one of the first things you need to do before anything in your team. So please, come together as a team and create this team charter. And then when we have the workshop, we'll go through the team charters that you have created in your team, and then we'll walk through it and we'll see it together. And if you have more questions, come to that workshop with your questions. But please try to create that team charter before the day of the workshop.
All right. Thank you, Tammy. So this is to everyone. You won't be reminded, right? So as soon as you're put into project teams, when you guys come together, please start working on your team charter. If you have questions, you can ask your mentors and buddies, or just watch the videos all over. Try and come up with something. It might not be so accurate or anything, it's fine. Tammy will look through it for you guys and give you feedback. So you go back and work on it. And then your mentors and buddies will also help you look through it, yeah? So you can even start scribbling some things down, so when you guys come together, you'll be able to work on it. But you're not going to work on it now until you become a team fully, when you know your teams. So thank you so much for that, Tammy. Any questions again before we call it a night? All right. I'll assume silence is golden this time. So thank you, everyone. If any question pops up or you want to ask anything, please let me know. We'll give you a feedback on your question. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Hold on, please. Before I say enjoy the rest of your evening. So there's a form that was sent out to everyone. Please, can somebody confirm they filled up that form? The thing is, we have created teams for some set of people. I'm sure you've seen that they've shared the list, but some people don't have teams. That's because you haven't completed those forms. So please try and complete the forms. That's for the new joiners. Please complete those forms. Hi, Davis.